Hey, everybody, this is Tom Siga at Duluth Pack, and this is the Duluth Pack podcast, Leader of the Pack. And our leader of the pack today is Katie Lyon, co founder at Allegiance Flag Company, another great made in America company. Love it. Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm honored to be a guest.
Oh my gosh, Made in America. You're right up my alley here. I love it. And hopefully, our listeners will hear that part of it and they're going to be flying your flags in their yards and their homes and everything else. But before we get all the way up to there, you have a pretty colorful history that we want to go through to find out how leaders like yourself get to the positions they're in leading whatever they do. And in your case, it's a successful company. So let's go all the way back and rewind this to when you were a child and where were you born? Where did you grow up? And what was it like for you growing up?
Yeah, Tom. I am from Charleston, South Carolina, where Allegiance Flag Supply is based. I actually met Max, our co-founder, in middle school. So we were friends. He was 2 grades older than me, but we went to a small school and we grew up here and I had a great childhood upbringing. I'm the oldest of two. I have two younger brothers. My dad and my mom, they live downtown Charleston. We live very close to them, so it's nice to kind of be around where I grew up, but also kind of create some new memories as well with my small family.
Oh, that is awesome. That's one place I've never been actually. I've been to South Carolina, but I haven't been to Charleston. And my wife and I were thinking about going there when we get sick and tired of this cold weather up here. So after this, we'll have to chat a little bit about that.
Mom, come see us. That would be great. You got to look us up when you come.
We will do that. So childhood, go to grade school, go to middle school, go to high school. What was that all like? Did you were you in activities?
Tom, it's so funny. Y'all were so nice and sent over some like high level things of just to like look at and just I was and of what some things we are talking about. And I was like, oh gosh, like I don't want to talk about when I was younger. I messed around so much. I've got nothing to offer at all with my story. But you know what? Maybe that is hopefully someone listening can share that experience and say, yeah, that totally resonates with me. I didn't do well in school. School was always very hard. I have learning disabilities and yeah, grades were just not my thing. And that I guess can kind of be tough on a kid growing up or their confidence level or whatever. So I just did not maybe think that even being successful in a working environment would be in my future. What I've learned actually is school and business are two totally different things. Standardized testing is a little different than the real world, thank goodness. And I probably learned a lot through that. And I like to apply that to my everyday today.
So you obviously weren't that bad of a student because you got into the University of South Carolina, graduated there, and then went on and got a master's degree. Tell us about that because if school was so tough, how the heck did you get in college?
I
And
know.
how did you make your way through college?
I would love to shake the hand of the admissions advisor that reviewed my application at the University of South Carolina. I did. I graduated there. I met Wes, my husband, and our other co-founder in college. My major, I was an art major. That was something that I was always passionate about and still am passionate about. I've always been interested in creative design. I did a lot of art history where I can't say that I apply a lot of that standard memorizing of dates of paintings today, but I definitely think I use creativity every day in my position at Allegiance. I think having that left and right brain is really important when you're a founder of a company. Um, and so I don't know. They let me in. I don't know why, but they did. It was nice of them.
But after that, you go on and you get your master's degree. So you hated school so much, they just decided to keep going.
I'm a glutton for punishment. That probably lends a little of itself of kind of being aimless. So after college, and Wes and I were still dating, I moved out to Los Angeles to go work for a photographer, and she worked for Fender guitars and some really cool publications, shooting musicians. And I was an assistant out there, and I had a lot of fun out there. I partied hard and learned a little, and it was a great experience, but I had to come home. And so my ticket back home was to get my master's degree. And I got my master's degree, believe it or not, in early childhood education. Um, I, I really wanted to come home, if I can be perfectly honest. I was aimless. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I knew that I needed a little bit more structure in my life. And also a big part of it was Wes and I wanted to be back together. So he also applied for grad school back in Charleston. He went to the MBA program, and he got introduced to Max, my middle school friend. And we all three started hanging out together a lot. And I'm really glad that we started doing that, because I started thinking, like, you know what? I don't know if this teaching thing's going to be great for me. I think it's given me some good life lessons I need. I have so much respect for teachers. It's just truly unbelievable what they do. I think I'm very goal oriented in terms of financial goals. And I didn't see that so much in the teaching world. Unfortunately, maybe some things will change. But I kind of figured out early on, I don't know if I'm in the right field. I'm going to stick with this. Because I'm kind of tired of bouncing around, but I'm going to get my master's degree, but I don't think teaching is what's in my future.
So, Katie, you're pretty young and you move out to LA. And I can tell you, I went through the same thing, but not myself. I went through with my daughter. She's 18 years old, and she's like, you know what? I applied to my dream school and I got in, and it's like, great, where's that? She goes, Los Angeles. It's like, you're going where? And so tell us some lessons you learned about moving from, Charleston, South Carolina to LA, and how you had to grow up and probably become a little more street smart savvy.
Yeah, I think that's a city that can kind of eat you up and swallow you whole. I it's kind of like a survival of the fittest out there, but I don't really know what the survival skills are sometimes. It's a really interesting place, that I had a lot of fun, but I don't think professionally I was gonna excel there too much. And that was just me. There's so many cool opportunities there, and it's an artistic town, and so many great opportunities for entertainment. But I had my fill, and I was ready to go.
Okay. So you graduate from the master's degree program, and then you're going to start your career. So 2014, you're sales manager, and then you were promoted to director of corporate stewardship at Lytton Entertainment. Tell us about that, and how you grew there. What lessons you learned there?
Yeah. So Tom, after I graduated with a master's in education, I knew I didn't want to go into teaching full time. So my dad is the founder of Lytton Entertainment, and what they do at Lytton Entertainment is they are a children's educational television production company. So I thought, well, I've got a little experience in child education. And I don't know who is going to answer my call with this degree other than my dad wanting to get into business. So I called him and I said, I'm on a road to a career that I don't think I really want to be on. Like, will you hire me? He's like, yeah, I guess I'll take a chance with you, but like you got to get, got to start from the bottom. And so I did, and I started to kind of again realize like, okay, I'm getting closer here of what I want to do. I don't think art history, I was like, I don't know if I'm a scholar enough to really take this on a career. Photography, I'm still fishing around. I really don't know. Education, this isn't for me. Business, the lights were kind of starting to turn on a little bit for me. And I really liked being able to work with others and really see a career growing there by putting hard work in and continuing to advance. I would say what I wasn't loving while I was there was this idea that I wasn't able to like own my own thing. I think, and this is totally a personal thing. I don't even know if anyone else was thinking about this the whole time, but I still had this, I'm the daughter of the owner of the company in the back of my head that was just kind of gnawing at me personally. Everyone handles it differently. But I think that started to give me the drive of like, okay, I'm really learning a lot here that I didn't learn in my education that I'm absorbing. But ultimately, I think I'm figured out. I really want to go start my own thing.
Tell me about going into a family business. Is the bar higher for you than maybe it is for other people because you have the DNA of the person that owns the company? Is just an easy channel for you, and you get to skate along, and everyone else has to do all the heavy lifting, or is it the opposite of that?
I almost wonder if it's like the personal pressures we put on ourselves. I can't answer for anyone else that I was working with, but I felt that pressure day one to um, like put in the extra hours, get there early, stay there late, do the always taking the extra step. I don't know if I would have been that driven to do that at a company where my dad was the owner. I really don't know, but I know that was kind of the fire lit under me of like, no, I really want to prove myself here because I didn't go through a normal interview process. And also, I'm taking someone else's seat. I'm still on the payroll. They didn't make up a position for me. I really got to earn my seat here.
Sales manager. So were your duties, responsibilities, and accountabilities when you were sales manager?
So I worked in the syndication department of Litton Entertainment. So repackaging and selling to local television stations. And really, I was an assistant to those sales managers. Um, so communicating with a lot of different news stations. It was great. Organizational skills were a big thing that I learned in that position, but really hungry to move on.
Well, but before you did that, one of the things that you also did was corporate stewardship. What does that all entail?
Yeah. So a lot of what the television shows were doing were they were communicating with a lot of nonprofit organizations for the educational pieces of their programming. So the big networks that Litton worked with was ABC, CBS, and NBC. And long story short, the government passed FDA mandate that all Saturday morning cartoons had to change and be educational. So gone are the days of Power Rangers and in comes Jack Hanna. And that was my dad that took that over um, and started all that programming first for ABC, CBS, and NBC. So the programming that he was creating, a lot of them, of course, all had educational values, working with nonprofits. So as the company grew, there was a corporate stewardship responsibility and kind of a need of a liaison between other nonprofits as well as the Litton itself giving back. And so I kind of owned all of the nonprofit space. And that was a position that was created while I was there.
Okay. And then in 2015, you transitioned to become project manager at Open Mind Education, a nonprofit. Tell us about that.
Oh, so that was another arm of Litton Entertainment. They created a nonprofit organization. It was, I don't know if it would be described as a tax advantage kind of organization of they started that, and I started to transition out of Litton, starting to see the growth of what I had started, a business I had started on the side started growing. So I had voiced that maybe I would transition to a part-time, and a director role was becoming a little too much for um, my schedule. So working part-time, starting this nonprofit after the experience I had working alongside nonprofits.
So what is the difference between, like a sales role where you're judged on how much revenue you're generating for a for-profit company, or and now you go to the nonprofit. What were some of the challenges and difference moving from one to another?
Yeah, nonprofit space, it started to, that's a great question because it kind of started to feel as if the goals were not financial anymore. And I just do know that about myself. I do know that I am, um, I, I like to have a financial goal that is just something that's appealing to me. And moving over to the nonprofit space, it was kind of going back against kind of the teaching side of why I kind of didn't follow that career, but why am interested in teaching and why I was interested in the nonprofit space was because I do have such a passion for giving back, which is something that I love about Allegiance so much, because that's something that we prioritize. So I'm kind of able to do both of that now. It's like it was the two things that I loved before Allegiance kind of coming together.
So, Katie, in 2016, you founded a company, and I'm going to let you say the name of it so I don't butcher it. You founded your own company.
I did. It was called For Good Sous Vide. It was a well, I guess I'll back up a little bit because I'll introduce Max and Wes kind of coming into the picture during this time. So Max and Wes were at getting their MBAs at the same time I was in grad school, and we were always talking like, wouldn't it be great if we could start a company together? And Max and Wes started a company. And I was like, yeah, I'll help y'all on the side. I had graduated a year earlier than them. So I was like, I'll help y'all on the side with what y'all are doing. But, I have a job right now. And so Charleston is a big destination for bachelorette parties. And we were seeing, or really, I'll give Max the credit. I think he was the first one that noticed this. He saw a lot of the bachelorettes on the popular streets in Charleston, and they all had like this like bachelorette gear. They had sashes and all types of things with inappropriate symbols on them. And he said, like, gosh, where's everyone buying these? And they came up with the idea to create like a bachelorette party kit. So it had like an inflatable bachelorette toys in it, straws, sash, all these bizarre things that they packaged up and they sold on Amazon. And we started seeing it do so well. They just took off as like the top product in the bachelorette space. And I was just kind of helping them on the side. And I was just like, guys, like I'm having fun, but like I feel like I can kind of do this. No offense. So I was like, what is a similar product for me that's plastic, disposable, made in China, can sell on Amazon, people might buy again. And for Christmas that year, I got something called a sous vide, and in French, it means under vacuum. So you cook food, you put it in a sealable bag, put it under water, and your food cooks at the desired temperature that you set the sous vide to. But I had an issue when I got this Christmas present that it didn't come with any accessories. And so I was always like putting them in Ziploc bags, but I was reading like that's not the best way to do it. You really need one of those huge commercial like vacuum suckers. And I was like, well, that's not really gonna work for me. We just moved into this teeny little house. Like I don't have the space for that. My kitchen's so small. Like that's expensive. I don't want to add that. So we had just moved and I had gotten those like vacuum suckers where you put your clothes in. And then you like suck all the air out with like a handheld vacuum sucker. And I was like, maybe I can do this with food. So I contacted a Chinese factory and I got a hand pumper that was used for moving. I got Ziploc bags with a little sealable top on the bag. I had to make a prototype. I included clips that could clip the bag of food to the side of the container. And then a vacuum sealer as well. So I kind of came together like a kit like they had done for a bachelorette kit. I did like a sous vide cooking kit, like the 101 needs you need to cook. It was a huge risk, leap of faith. I kind of was like, I'm going to help keeping y'all as y'all's assistant a little bit, just fulfilling orders on the side or shipping them to Amazon. Turns out I ended up being the top selling product on Amazon of all products on Black Friday. I think this was in 2017. So like my product just exploded and took off. It was just like, okay, well, I think this is going really well. So that's when I left the nonprofit sector and moved over and was like, I think I've got something here. Like it's a little odd, but I'm going to run with it. And it was just me.
So I got a question for you because I mean, all of us who are in business have dealt with the selling side to Amazon. And most of our listeners for sure have purchased from Amazon. Now, you as a small business, and I do have questions about how you came up with the capital to even pull this whole thing off. But now you're number one on Black Friday on Amazon. How did you fulfill the orders without ticking everybody off? And
Mm-hmm.
specifically, who you need to appease, and that's Amazon.
So those questions right there, I would say would be the demise of For Good sous vide. So for the fulfillment question, so what we did something called FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. So I would get the product in, and I started small. I launched in July, so the July before that first Black Friday. So I started small with orders. I sent to you get your products in. I think a lot of sellers now they just ship right to Amazon, but when we were doing it, we had the products from China shipped to us. I'd check them out, make sure this was legit, and then ship to Amazon so they would do all the fulfillment and they take a percentage. So capital, 100% bootstrap, which we can get into Allegiance in a little bit, but that is my number one. That for us, that has always worked for us. We've never taken outside capital. Started with $2,000, and I never had to create a website. The logo I used was a guy that I worked with in Lytton. We shared like a cubicle wall, and I asked if he could just write For Good in Adobe Illustrator. It really didn't take much except for product. So I ordered about $1,500 worth of product, and it took from about July to November to really kick up, start getting reviews. And then when it was Anova, what is the For Good is the sous vide company. And actually, I think Apple ended up buying them. It was just a huge Christmas for sous vide. And so I just kind of like rode those coattails and ended up being a higher seller, even greater than the Anova sous vide at home set.
Were you able to fulfill all of those orders on Black Friday?
Yes. So to answer the question of that immediate Black Friday, it was totally by luck that I started to see an uptick, in September, October, like, okay, wow, we're really selling. And it was a huge gamble. But I just ended up putting everything and buying, I think it was like 40,000 units, and having them all shipped and just had them go to Amazon. And we ended up fulfilling. And I did run out, but in the months of February, I think it was February to like June, finally ended up selling out and having like a downtime because in China they celebrate the New Year. They have a lot of different holiday. It's been a while, being a made in America business. It's been a while since I've dealt with a lot of factories in China, but I just remember there was like a long lull there, and I could not get product, and it was stressful.
Let's talk about that because before we get into the made in America, and you made a big shift from buying your products and having them made in China to made in America, which I applaud you, and I hope our listeners do. Talk a little bit about the struggles of supply chain when you have to rely on others overseas to make it, the shipping time, getting it through immigration, and all those types of things.
Yeah, when I kind of look back on like several times of my career, it's been so polarizing. And in that way, it's been it's where I've learned the most. It's like, I go from maybe a nonprofit area of business, and then I go the full other way. I started a company where I depend on China and overseas and waiting and not having ownership of my product and selling on Amazon, which I have no ownership of my listing. So ultimately, my listing gets hijacked from the Chinese what distributor took my listing and changed it to theirs, and I was totally locked out. They started selling my product. I couldn't get in touch with anyone on Amazon. This was my livelihood, and I was completely helpless. There was nothing I could do. There was no one I could call, and um, I was really upset about that. That was something that really did not sit right with me, and um, I was pretty down about that. But it's amazing, kind of like what did we do with that anger and frustration came out of the polarizing company that is Allegiance Flag Supply, and thank God for that.
So let's pivot over there now. But before we get to talking all about you being the co-founder and forming a new company that's made in America, Katie, can you give us all of your social handles and your email and your website and everything for Allegiance Flag Supply?
Yes, Allegiance Flag Supply. You can find us on showallegiance.com. Follow us at Allegiance Flag Supply on Instagram. We have a Facebook page, Allegiance Flag Supply. And if you ever have any questions, our American customer service line will always answer you. We prioritize supporting veteran spouses. They have a lot of job insecurity with moving around a lot. So we have found that a veteran spouse not only it's wonderful having a customer service team that can travel around because it can be a remote position, but they also have such a unique and powerful American story that they are able to communicate and connect with our customers.
So that's where you find if you want to buy American made flags and supplies, folks. Let's now talk about the conception, the story of Allegiance Flag Supply. Where did this, obviously, you had some pent up anger towards some of the issues that you were having with importing. Let's talk about how did this all come about?
Yeah, you know, so Wes, my husband, he is an Eagle Scout. And in the Scouts, he learned a lot about flag code. That was his main project when he turned 18. So when we first got married, and Max actually lived down the street from us after we got married, we were flying American flags and they would rip and they would tear. And it just didn't sit right with us that not only were we passionate enough about our country and wanted to show that we were proud Americans, but the fact that these flags would rip and tear and were not made with great quality, and then to find out that a lot of them are made overseas, absolutely did not sit right with us. Probably a little bit of the anger from For Good matched with just this love for country and wanting to support American jobs, and really a lot of it also with my passion for helping others in the nonprofit space. A lot of what I learned in the educational space, it was like, can we create a product that we don't feel that we can purchase right now, that it's a market need, while also feeling as if we're doing something well, and what product should be made in America more than the American flag?
So you come up with this conceptual idea of let's do this. Now, how do you put together your business model, your business plan, and then how do you implement that?
So Max and Wes, being good MBA graduates, I would say we relied on them heavily to build a business plan, but we never actually did it. We're like always talking, I would always be like, so guys, you learned so much there. And we never did a formal business plan. We honestly just started taking action. We're like, let's call, Wes's dad had given him a golf pin flag from a golf course that he had recently played. And he had just noticed on the back it said made in the USA. I'm like, okay, wow. Okay. So there is a textile company in America that's creating flags. It's small flags, not the American flag, but let's just give them a call. Like, let's just start. Is this even anything? And so that's really where we started. We didn't it was just, we just really kind of gut called this number on the back of a American flag, American made pin flag, and called them. We're like, hey, I think we want to start an American flag company. Do y'all make flags? And they're like, no, we don't, but well, let's try it out. Let's do it. So from there, we started talking to them, making prototypes. We said we want to make the highest quality American flag available today while supporting American jobs. So they came back to us with an American flag that takes 5 hours to make, made with 400 denier nylon, to get very specific with you, where they cut out each of the flag of the stars and put them on the flag. And the best we could do with price was selling them for $225.
All right. And how is the market for $225 flags?
Crickets. Yep. So we created this flag. We were so excited about it. We're like, real, patriotic people, they'll understand our story. Look at all the jobs we're supporting by making this long labored flag. And no, you'll never see any. And it was beautiful. It really was. Every star hand cut, appliqued. It's called the elephant hide of nylon. So thick and beautiful. And we put the site up and we were so excited, and crickets. No one came to our site. No one ordered.
Had you ordered a bunch of these flags at that time, or were you in the concept where you were then going to have them built for those customers?
We ordered 20. So the stakes were kind of low, but Allegiance is 100% bootstrap. We did not take any investor money. A lot of what I earned at For Good and Wes and Max earned with the bachelorette kit space, we put towards Allegiance, and we created a website that was a big expense. I would say that was our biggest expense. And looking back, I don't think we had to spend that much on a website. We, of course, made a lot of mistakes along the way. We put most of our money in a website and a little bit into inventory.
So you have this small amount of inventory. You figure out that, oh goodness, crickets, we're not selling these units. How did you pivot then? And where did you get to how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so that was in 2018. I would say it took 2 years to really start figuring out like what is Allegiance? What are we selling? What do we have to do here? Why is no one even coming to our website? We knew nothing. We knew nothing of an ecom business whatsoever. So we kind of went back to the drawing board a little bit and we were like, we need to work on our product. We need to work on our storytelling, and we have got to start getting eyes on our product. So we did a lot in the beginning. We started signing up for a lot of activations. We went to a lot of trade shows. Maybe we thought wholesale was the answer. We thought just getting in front of people, at wildlife expos. And all of these things are not bad, but this is not what took for us. We were putting so much time and energy in things that really were not seeing the big return on. And then in early 2020, so it's, late 2019, November, December, January 2020, we finally scaled our flag down to where we could it would be a little bit more digestible. We were like, you know what, maybe we came out with the Rolls Royce of flags, and that's just, it's not gonna, we've really found out the flag that we made was so tough and strong, it was self-destructing on itself. So it was actually not the highest quality American flag. So that took a little while to do some R&D. So we really did some R&D on our product. We figured out what is the highest quality American flag without it. We want to still support American jobs. We still want to add our extra stitching. We don't want it to be spit out of a machine. We want to stay to who we are and what matters to us, and that's supporting American jobs and hopefully getting to a point where we can support military organizations as well. But we have to do that for a product that people will actually be able to buy and want to buy and actually last longer. So we finally got our product down. We started selling it for $95, which is actually more than what it's for sale for today. But that's kind of where our big launch pad for us was. On top of that, we really got our storytelling down. It wasn't so confusing or messy. We got it real clean. This is who we are, and this is what we promise, and this is what's important to us. And then we figured out, maybe we should start running some digital ads. I would like take $5 out of my personal account and my debit card and start running like little Instagram ads. I had no idea what I was doing. It really wasn't a huge thing in 2019, 20. It really started picking up, targeted ads and Meta. So there was an agency called Mute 6, one of the biggest agencies in the country, and there's no way we could have afforded their retainer. So we would go stock on LinkedIn onto who is their digital ad buyers, and sent LinkedIn messages saying like, hey, I don't know what you're doing on nights, or would you mind moonlighting for us, and just start running some ads and we'll pay you a percentage of sale. And someone responded back to us, and we started running ads in January of 2020. And by February, March, the country shut down. COVID started. There was a bit of this message, at least in the beginning, was like, we're all in this together, a big patriotic push. Local home improvement stores shut down, so people could not purchase their American flags in a store. And so a culmination of, we got our product down, we got our story down, started running ads. Our price was right. And the country just changed like within a split second. And we caught it right at the right time. And we really took off.
Awesome. So how many employees do you have today?
We have a little over 60.
Okay. And are you manufacturing the flags in your own facility, or do you have a partner that is cutting and sewing?
So we stayed with the first call that we made to Vidalia, Georgia, to the cut and sew shop that made the golf pin flag. We stayed with them. We still get our boat flags from them. they've been fantastic partners. They've seen us at every stage, at every growth, and they've been great. But we brought all manufacturing in-house outside of our boat flags in 2020, October of 2021. So now we support an American textile supply chain, which is probably the most fulfilling part of my job.
So you had to go out and find a bunch of sewing machines and cutting machines and grommeting machines and all this and learn it from ground zero.
Absolutely. It was like starting another company. We knew that going in of like, okay, you know what we're about to do is we're about to start another company. This is not Allegiance. Allegiance, we said really before we brought manufacturing in-house was a marketing and customer service company. That's what we were selling a product that we helped make, of course, every stitch along the way. But really what we owned at the end of the day was customer service and marketing. And then once we brought manufacturing in-house, it is a completely different beast, but I wouldn't change it any other way. It's just really hard.
Are you able to find people in the cut and sew trade?
American textile is a bit of a dying art. That is a huge struggle is finding labor. It's hard to find labor in every industry right now, but American textile is really difficult. So what we have done is we started a trade program where we bring what is wonderful that we've implemented and it's just such a blessing to be able to watch people grow within our organization and really invest in our employees is we started a inner trade program where a lot of the people who were fulfilling have now moved over to sewing and they've gained a skill and they're proud and they are able to move up within our company. So we teach a lot of those that have been with us since 2019, really when we started hiring our first time employees. Are now sewing and growing and lead sewers and working towards just more and more. And that's awesome. I love that part of my job.
God bless you, because I'll tell you what, you can make it here in America and you can be successful. And you're somebody who went the other way. You started with having things outsourced overseas and you made the change to make it here. And I hope millions of people would listen to this podcast and listen to your story and support American made like your company. Folks, this is Katie Lyon, co-founder at Allegiance Flag Supply, made in America. And now they're even cutting and sewing it themselves. Oh my gosh. Katie, give us those handles again so people can find your website and they can go by. I have it up right now on my screen as we're talking. That's why I keep looking over here to the side. And then I want to talk about actual products and SKUs and all this other things so our customers can learn. But give all those handles again as well as your website.
Yes, so we are showallegiance.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Allegiance Flag Supply, as well as Facebook, or you can give us a call and not talk to any of our American customer service representatives.
Perfect. Oh gosh, thank you for making it here. We appreciate it as people who are supporting and want to support American manufacturing. So let's talk a little bit about supply chain now. You talked about it earlier, but supply chain now on getting your materials and what hoops to be able to put Made in America on it that do you have to jump through to actually just make something here?
There are challenges, I know that you know as well. What we say at Allegiance all the time is the easy thing might not always be the right thing. So we all so but we're several years in, we have processes, we're growing. It does get easier. Anything you do that's new, you'll have to work out those kinks. But gosh, to look at what, from launching the manufacturing in 2021 to where we are today, I couldn't imagine doing it any other way. I know we're an American flag, and so we do have such a strong feeling that product needs to be made in America. But as we continue to look at product expansions, it is possible for them to be made in America and they don't have to be overpriced. They don't have to, it can be done the right way. And that's really what this journey has taught us more than anything.
Katie, is everything right now still B2C, which is business to consumer that you're selling, or do you do wholesale as well?
So 93% of our sales come from e-com. So if you visit our website, it's B2C. That is where a majority of our sales are. We There's been a lot of iterations of Allegiance, and I would say over the last year we've really become laser focused of what does well for us. There for a little while, we were very focused on wholesale, thinking that it would be a great sales avenue for us. And that's just not the case for us today. Our demand is so incredibly high that it's impossible for us to keep up with the demand. We have nothing is ever on our shelves, and have been out of stock for our high season, which is really April to end of July, August, and we've been sold out every single year. So for us to be focusing on wholesale deals just makes no sense for us when it is more advantageous for us to sell online and really be concentrating on inventory and really stocking our shelves and being prepared for our high season. So we are not going after any wholesale, and we now turn down POs. And that's just the Allegiance we are today.
How lucky is that, that a company that literally you can't see the future without being sold out of your products at all times, and Made in America. Thank you, listeners, for supporting Made in America, like Katie's company. Couple things I have a question. It's a presidential election year this year. It becomes very Americana during presidential election years. How have you prepared when you could have even more demand in a presidential election year?
No question, Tom. And not only a presidential election year, but also the Olympics is coming up, which brings patriotism at the forefront of a lot of people's mind as well. So we are really buckling up for a exciting 2024, I think. I don't have a crystal ball, but focusing on inventory management has been the biggest, we call them rocks, our biggest rock to concentrate on and really tackle this year. We run national ads. Allegiance runs the national ads on national networks. And so prioritizing on news networks during an election year and really having to lock in those deals now, because so many political commercials will start running here in a little bit. That's been a big thing that we've learned this year also heading into our high season.
How many total SKUs do you manufacture?
That's a good question. I don't even really know the exact amount of SKUs, because what we really say almost every day is Allegiance is really built on one product. Different SKUs, we offer different sizes of the American flag. We offer boat flag. We offer the set. You can buy it without a bracket. There's different variations, but really our 3x5 American flag set is by far our best seller. And so it is incredible what Allegiance has been able to do and the jobs that it's able to support and the American supply chain. Every thread, all of our packaging, all of our graphic design, everything that touches Allegiance is American made. It supports an American supply chain and an American job 100%. And we're really able to do this with one product.
That is awesome. How about military flags? Do you manufacture?
We do not. There's a big demand for that. The way that we make our American flags are not spit out of a big machine. They're hand sewn. The stripes are sewn together, the stripes to the star field. We have the extra stitching on the fly end so they don't pop off and your whole flag doesn't become unraveled. We really have back end engineered a high quality, affordable American flag. Certainly the most highest quality American flag, but not $225. That when we start looking at other flags to launch, it has been taken really Wes owns that side of things, the product development side of things. And it's really hard to create flags to our standards. Military flags They're very ornate. And so for them to be printed on a flag, it's really not the standard of what the Allegiance flag are. And we have a test pool of that we're able to kind of gear. We just brought on a product developer at the end of last year. So certainly something that we would like to do, but we are very focused on always delivering the same promise that we did with our original product.
What a great story, and what a great vision of, hey, let's stay in our lane is what I'm hearing there. And try not to be everything to everyone, because then we're going to forget where we came from.
And there's still a lot of meat on the bone with the American flag. I would not to sounds almost crude, but we still need to do the American flag justice. You know, like there's still so much. The fact that we're always sold out during our high season, that we haven't even had a normal, we don't even really know the expectation on our demand. We pull back marketing efforts during our high season to just be able to honor the orders that we do get. That we're kind of in a great boat where we don't really have to continue to offer new products. While we would love to offer products to the customers that we currently have right now, that's certainly a wonderful thing that we hope that we're able to do. We're still so focused on having an American flag on everyone's doorstep.
Oh, that music to our ears, American made and American flags. Folks, today we're talking to Katie Lyon, co-founder at Allegiance Flag Company. You need to go see them online. You need to follow them on social. Totally Americana, making American flags. Love it. Katie, now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to get away from flag making. We're going to just talk about you a little bit, because we call this our packed questions segment. A little play on packed there. But we just want to learn a little more about you. What's your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie is Crazy Heart.
An old guy like me never even heard of that, for crying out loud. Tell us about it.
It's Jeff Bridges. I think it came out in like 2015. It's great. It's a redemption story. Maybe I can kind of connect with that a little bit. You know, I don't know if I have the same path as him, but you know, I've seen some days of where I needed to clean up my act and really get focused. And I can resonate with the main character for sure.
Favorite place you've ever traveled, and you cannot say Charleston, South Carolina.
I started thinking about this. I've had the gift to be able to travel the world, and I know, of course, as an American flag company owner, I have to say somewhere in America, but I really do feel that this country has so much to offer. And I would say anytime Wes and I prioritize going to visit a state of ours, we're just blown away about the people of this country. Just last summer, we went to Rhode Island. We just never been to Rhode Island, and we really wanted to check it out. But gorgeous, unbelievably beautiful, fantastic food on the water. Every time I visit somewhere in America, I'm blown away. We live in the best country in the world.
I will ditto that. I've been lucky enough to be at 49 of the 50.
Oh, I love it, Tom. That's a goal I'd love to achieve.
I got one left to go, but everywhere you go, there's beautiful places in this country. I could not agree more.
Can I ask what's the one state that's left?
I don't want people from New Hampshire to get mad at me. I just never had the chance, but my wife and I are gonna do it someday here.
Oh, that's great.
Well, so far you've told us all this stuff that you're pretty fearless, but what is your biggest fear?
Oh, my biggest, probably losing balance in life. I'm a mom of a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. And that's really busy, and it's incredible, and it's fulfilling, and it's full of life. And Allegiance is my third child. But life's about balance. I always want to focus. My biggest fear is to lose that. You know, I work, but Wes and I do not bring it home. We're married and we work together, and we made a pact. We really made this pact with Max. Wes and I do not talk about allegiance unless we're in the office or we're with Max. We're married first and we're co-founders second. Being a mom is so important to me. God, giving back to my church, my community, and just doing the next right thing. Keeping that balance in life. My biggest fear is losing that, and something goes askew, and I throw myself too much into one, and missing the pure happiness in life, which is balance.
Well, you've had a smile on your face this whole podcast, so that's a good thing. So yeah, I think your balance is working out. Couple other quick fire ones at you. Favorite band?
I've always loved Paul Simon. He's great. I loved his when he was with Simon and Garfunkel, kind of that like the American folks origin. I loved him by himself through the 80s. I got to see him a few times before he retired. My brother and I actually traveled around. He came and visited me out in LA and we saw him a couple times. I've dragged Wes to a few shows. He's just wonderful. He always puts a smile on my face.
And best piece of life advice you have ever received? You've certainly given a bunch today because your story is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Best advice. This might be the one at like 3 a.m. I wake up in the middle of the night of like, I should have said that. But right now, someone actually, my dad told me this, and I think this is really interesting. So don't follow the compliment. And I kind of wonder a little bit if when I was kind of running around aimlessly, not knowing what to do, I think someone once told me, that picture you took was really nice. So I was like, okay, well then I'll go into photography. And then I think I babysat one time and they're like, wow, you're really good with kids. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll be a teacher. I just kind of like listen to what other people would tell me I'm good at instead of like really figuring out what makes me happy. So maybe not following the compliment, really figure out like what makes you happy. Don't listen to other people. You know inside what that is.
And that was great advice. And folks, today our special guest is Katie Lyon, co-founder at Allegiance Flag Company. Katie, one last time, tell our listeners what your website is.
Showallegiance.com.
Showallegiance.com. Go buy your flags. And if they're on back order, well, tough. They're doing very well and they're made in America, so you can wait. How's that, Katie?
I love it. But
all right,
we won't sell out this year.
There you go. You got a great staff working. Thanks so much for being here. We truly appreciate you and what you and your company's doing in supporting American jobs.
Thank you so much, Tom. It was an honor.
And folks, until next time, unplug from the indoors and recharge in the outdoors.